Welcome to this episode of Eye of the Swarm, your deep dive into anything and everything related to Yellowjacket athletics. He is the Big Sound Matt Johnson. I am John Garver. Season number 6, episode number 8. Final episode of 2024.
Yeah, we're getting closer to that century mark now. I think we're like 2 or 3 away now.
Okay.
I have to go back and look. I'm just going to make sure, but I'm going to start trying to track that so when we get to our 100th, we can actually make a point of it. But we're getting close.
What are we making the point for? Just because we hit 100 and they let us be on the air this long?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't quite sure if we'd make it this long. They might fire us before we actually got to 100, but we made it to 50, so we got the halfway point, and now we're coming up on the full century mark.
And then he decided it would have to be video instead of just audio, so then we knew we weren't going anywhere for a while.
That was not part of the original plan.
No.
But here we are.
Here we are.
Second year being on camera. Sorry for all the viewers out there. We know it's not a viewing experience that's pleasurable all the time. Wink, wink. But yeah, we're coming up on it now, and crazy that we're almost at Christmas already.
I know. It's semester break. I mean, it's finals week here on campus, and
We're also supposed to get Snowmageddon here.
we are.
Yeah. So that's the first Snowmageddon we're supposed to have. I guess it's okay. I prefer a white Christmas, and there's not a lot of white stuff on the ground right now, but
There's none.
yeah. I mean, there's some up on the hill.
Okay, because here
Yeah, but
in the Soup Bowl, we don't have anything.
Yeah, but even that's not a ton.
Right.
So there's some up on the hill.
They're saying 5 to 9 inches now today, so
Yep. So
all right, get the shovel out.
Snowmageddon is coming up. Get your snowblower.
The first of how many this year, who knows, but
We didn't really get one last year, which was weird. So
I used the snowblower one time last year.
I guess technically we're due, which is I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not excited about that, but okay.
No, but anyway.
But yeah, I mean, we're already at the break.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind.
First half of the year's already over.
That was the fastest one.
Yeah.
They tell me that as you get older, things move faster, and they are right.
They are correct.
They are correct.
Yeah, whoever came up with that
was
word.
that was the most rapid first semester I've ever been through, and a successful one.
Yeah, very successful.
We've had some winning going on, which is great, and
we had 2 teams that are ranked in the fall and winter for the first time that I think I can remember. Men's soccer at 12th is where they finished, and then men's hockey right now at 15.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first time. So that's something of a milestone, I guess. We can take that to the.
I mean, I'm guessing there was probably some time in the aughts.
Yeah.
When both hockey teams were ranked.
Yeah.
I
think definitely late.
And there may even be somewhere in here. Well, no, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, men's soccer was ranked 3rd in 20, right? Like was that where they ended up? Was 3rd, 4th, something like that?
Something like that.
During the COVID year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, 2 teams though that end up the national rankings, or at least have been ranked this year. That's nice. No qualms with that.
No.
So the 2 basketball teams still have to get together and find some wins somewhere along the way here. They've
difficult stretch for each one.
Yeah, combined 9 straight losses between the 2 teams, but it's been a lot of tough competition. The road trips have not been super conducive to winning. In certain ways. The women's schedule has been very difficult.
Yes.
They've played some really, really good teams. Also played some teams that I don't know much about, like Viterbo, because they're NAIA, and
right.
I'm not really familiar with them. But once they get in the conference season, I think...
Did you do a game there once?
At Viterbo?
Yeah.
No, I did one down at Buena Vista, though.
Okay.
Which is where the men played. Siebens Fieldhouse, which is a true old-school field house down in Storm Lake, Iowa, which is an interesting place to go to because it's literally kind of an island in a sea of I guess, plains. There's not much, out there other than farmland, and then you come upon Storm Lake, and it's a very unique kind of situation because Storm Lake is kind of its own little town in the middle of all of these farms.
Kind of like Whitewater.
Yeah, it really is in certain regards. And Siebens Fieldhouse actually. It's an interesting building because when you broadcast there, at least when I was there, you broadcast from a corner looking down lengthwise. So it's a different looking game to call because they actually have, because of the field house look, they actually have like, I don't want to say it's a veranda, but it's almost like there's a walkway that's up above the court on the outside, and that's where they put you. So it's almost like, it's not quite a track around the top like some buildings have, but it's an interesting building. It was a cool experience to broadcast from there, and I haven't done that in years. I mean, that was probably 2016.
Yeah, so that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So That's where the guys were. They lost to Buena Vista, I think, I want to say 69-58, something like that. 5 straight losses for the guys now. Had some close losses in there. Overtime loss to Eau Claire is part of that. Now they have a few days off for break, obviously. Then they'll play a tournament down in River Falls. Well, they'll take on UW Stout, a team that they saw earlier but did not play as part of the Merrill Thompson Classic. And then they'll play River Falls, and then it's off in the conference. And the women have one more game during the calendar year here. They're taking on MSOE. I think it's a road game, too.
It is. It's a road game on Tuesday.
Yeah, and then everybody...
Monday.
Yeah, and they'll both be home on the 8th of January.
For the first time in like 2 months.
Yeah, for the first time in at least 6 weeks. Yeah, so that will be next time they're at home. Women's hockey snapped a 4-game winless streak by sweeping Concordia. You and I did one of the games. You did both. But you and I was your color guy for the first game of that series. A couple of nice wins.
Yeah. I think they needed those.
Yeah.
Because now you go from winless in 4 to unbeaten in 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't seem like much, but that's very different.
Yeah, it flips.
And it's a great way to go into the break.
Yeah, they played a heavy schedule, 14 games so far this year, and the schedule will lighten up in terms of intensity. Quality of competition will be very high, but doing fine there. The men's and women's indoor track and field teams got their seasons underway over at is it the opener?
Not anymore. It's the early bird now.
It's the early bird.
It's the early bird.
They've been changing names on that meet for a while now.
I think they had to because there's one before them.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not the opener anymore.
Okay, so it's the early bird over at St. Scholastica. A bunch of track athlete, UMAC track athlete of the week honors as well. There.
Sweep.
Yeah,
they swept it.
So and then men's hockey, they've won 4 in a row, and it's a nice little winning streak. 8-3-1, now ranked number 15 in the country.
Yep.
Beat Northland last time out 8-1 in a game that you did.
Yep.
That was a busy day for you.
It was.
Very busy day, but at least you got 2 wins out of it.
Yes.
So that's always good.
Yep. Got to call 2 wins, so that was a good thing.
That's good. So all the teams right now they'll pretty much shut down until after the break. So it's going to be there'll be a couple of weeks of light activity, mostly practicing and get ready. But all in all, pretty good first half, especially with the year that the soccer teams put together. So.
Yeah. You can't say enough about the run that those 2 teams had. And
I mean, they have a team ranked in the final rankings number 12 in the country is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and there's plenty of guys coming back from that team too, so they're going to be pretty tough again next year. That's the nice thing about men's soccer right now. Not to get too far off, here, but. First half has been good, and men's soccer was definitely the highlight. And they lose some players, but they're bringing back some. And somebody asked me just yesterday, in fact, how are they going to be? And I'm saying they're going to be very good again.
Yep.
Because they bring back a lot too.
Yeah, it's the whole.
Yeah.
They retool.
They
reload. They don't rebuild, and so
names change, but the results always stay the same for Coach Moody and company. So
right.
Yeah. So a very good first half of the year, and hopefully more after the break.
Yeah.
So. I got no complaints at this point. Like I said, I'm just waiting for the basketball teams to pick it up a little bit.
Right.
And I think it will after the first of the year.
Yeah, I think it will. They've had a pretty robust set of non-conference schedules there.
Yeah.
With some difficult opposition.
Yeah.
So, it'll be hopefully the kind of thing that will pay dividends later on.
That's the goal. That's the hope.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the aim in doing it. So.
Yep. And with that, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back on Eye of the Swarm, we will go to the roundtable segment, and we'll head to the hockey rink. We'll have head coach Bre Simon and Veda Roeske from the women's hockey team joining us. And first time having Bre on the show.
Yeah. I've interviewed Bre a couple times for games, and I know you have as well. But first time that we'll have her on the podcast. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be good. So we'll take a quick break and come right back after this. This is the Eye of the Swarm.
Find your passion. Find your people. Find your purpose. Find your superior.
We're back for the roundtable segment of this week's Eye of the Swarm, and it's time for us to talk hockey. We are joined by Bre Simon and Veda Roeske from the women's hockey team. Ladies, thanks for coming by.
Hi, thank you.
I've made multiple comments this year about the amount of games, I guess, to put it plainly, that this team has played so far. 6 weeks and 14 games, over half their schedule in a month. Why?
Dano? Dano?
Wow,
yeah,
Coach Laughlin, how did that bus feel?
Yeah, back it up, and drive it over the top, and back it up a few times.
Just kidding. I didn't do the schedule. I was just talking to Emma. We have no Tuesday games for next year, so
Awesome.
we are smooth sailing for next year, hopefully.
Because I think 5 Tuesdays this year. I mean, 3 so far, 4 so far,
Yeah, 4.
and I think 5 total.
2 in a row.
It's crazy.
It's
Well,
Yeah.
well, and right at the beginning too. So it's like you're 2 weeks in your season. They played 7 games already because of these Tuesdays.
I had to crack up because I was listening to your call when I was doing my game. My game's on Saturday. For UMD, I was on my way over there, and I heard you, and you were referencing their schedule, and it's like, so this is Yellowjacket's 14th game, and Concordia's played half that many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, because like they had played basically no games,
right.
and then you guys had played literally like twice the schedule that they had,
Yeah.
which is very rare. Like you almost never see that, but
Yeah.
Well, seriously, it'd be 6 weeks in. You're hitting the break. You've played 14 games already, and I suppose it's not the end of the world when you get to the second half and you get a little more rest when everybody else is, beating the crap out of each other.
right.
But at the same time, it's like we could have spaced this out a little bit better, so we're
Just
not,
yeah.
Maybe,
agree.
maybe not. I mean, I don't know.
I agree. Yeah, our second half will be a little bit easier.
It's gonna be lighter, not
lighter.
easier.
You're right. Sorry. Lighter.
We don't want to go down
Which-
a nobody you rabbit
Yeah.
hole here by saying it's going to be easier.
No, that's copyright for Doug Gottlieb now.
Yeah. God. Yeah. So we'll see.
So how's it going?
It's
I
going.
mean,
It's up and down.
it's been a whirlwind, and
Yeah.
obviously the
Yeah.
last 6 months or so have been a bit crazy for you. So going from East Coast back out to the Midwest and everything, how's it going?
It's going good. Very up and down. I finally get a chance also to breathe. Like these last couple of days, I've been finally like chill, just as much as the girls have too. But yeah, it's been a crazy first couple months, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's great. The girls are awesome. The staff here is awesome. The school is awesome. The area is awesome. So, yeah, it's going good.
From a player standpoint, how is it going?
I think when we found out we were getting a new coach, it was like everybody was freaking out and like had no idea. And then we got really lucky and got Bre. And I think like from the beginning, she's been just like awesome and like made sure to get to know us all, which has been amazing. And it's been smooth sailing.
Not always the case with a new coach.
In my mind, I'm thinking, wow, that's kind of rare.
That's that. But
Coaching
that's
transitions are never smooth sailing.
Well, that's
There's
a heck of a endorsement. So
It is,
Yeah,
yeah.
take that.
Yeah.
Take it. We've been lucky because we've actually, in the last few coach hires that we've had, we haven't had a ton, but the ones that we have had have gone pretty smoothly. So I'm not sure that's always the case. John and I have been around. We've seen a lot of coaches come and go since over the years, but I think this Bre seems to fit in with the rest of the department, which is
She fits in with McKenna, and that's the most important thing on their little island up there at Westman
I don't
Arena.
know. Yeah. Wow.
it takes a unique personality to fit in with Rich, by the way. And if Rich is watching this, sorry, Rich.
He's not.
Hey,
but-
someone has to be the mature one up there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to him.
But honestly, like across the board, like all the transitions have gone pretty well. I don't think we've had, to be honest with you, like all the new hires that we've had since I've been here have been pretty good. Like I can't really say that we've had a bad hire in terms of, especially this current group of coaches, and Bre seems to fit right in with that. I mean, everybody seems to have, when Allison came in, everybody liked her right away and adapted to her. When Fracker came in, it was the same thing. Everybody adapted to her quick. Emily Carpenter, who's an alum, came in,
Right.
and immediately you could see progress being made. And it seems like it's happening with women's hockey too. So I mean, the last few coaches, TJ comes in, and the same thing happens. Baseball immediately improves. So you see, it's become kind of a habit up here, and it's nice to see it. It's good to know that, for the last few coaches that we've had, the team has immediately responded and done really well. Whichever team it may be. So, congratulations on continuing on that tradition.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about the whole process of taking this position, and what made it an attractive position. What made it the right time for you to go, okay, maybe I am ready to be a head coach.
I don't think there is ever a right time to be a head coach, honestly.
It's like being a parent, I guess. There's never a right time to be a parent.
I honestly wasn't expecting it. I was out at Elmira for the last 2 years. Best experience I could have asked for as well. And I wanted to move home after last year, and this job came about, so it was just kind of like, all right, let's just take a crack at it and see what happens. I knew I was going to be in coaching for a while, and it was also more so of let's get into the process of doing interviews and doing all of that. I wanted to get into that right away, just so I was nervous, but then I could be more comfortable if this job didn't happen. So that was kind of my thought process on it. And I will say I'm not the greatest yet. I don't have everything down to a T yet, but that's just how it goes. But yeah, it wasn't a first option to be a head coach after 2 years of coaching college hockey. So and it just miraculously happened, and I love it.
So one interview in, boom, job.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
One of the things that I've noticed is that you seem very relatable, to the players, and that's, I think, really important when you have a new coach. You have to be relatable. You can't be somebody who comes in and immediately establishes, well, I'm here and you're there. You have to be able to kind of communicate and get to, build up relationships. Because it's one thing to, improve the performance on the ice, but in order to do that, you have to be able to relate to your players, make sure that they understand what you want to do. How was that process for you, being able to get to know the players and kind of endear yourself to them a little bit, let them know that you were the real deal and that you were going to be there for them and you were going to be a good coach for them? How did that process go through?
Obviously, like Veda said, it's scary coming in on their end and my end, just not knowing how I coach, how they will react to it, how they will transition with that stuff. I think it helps that I'm young, obviously, no shocker. So I think it helps that I'm only, I graduated in 2020, so I'm not much older than these girls, and I know what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, which I think helps a ton. It's hard to be a college athlete, going to school, trying to work, all of that stuff. I did that. So I think relating it back to them on how that stuff kind of helps with all of that. And I had great coaches when I was in college, and so kind of taking their little things to help me, trying to instill that in them as well too.
It's interesting for me because I've been meaning to ask you this question. You played for one of the best women's hockey players of all time. And
Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, Natalie Darwitz. What was it like playing for someone on her level, someone who had been that successful as a player and as a coaching at Hamlin? What was that like?
Oh, that was intimidating.
Because she literally is one of the best players of all time.
Yeah,
right? There's no question about it.
Yeah, no, she was great, and I knew I wanted to be somebody like her. I mean, I watched her when I was growing up, right? Watching her at the Olympics and all of that stuff, and then she recruited me really hard, and it was oh God, all right, I gotta actually be good, have to.
Natalie Garver's just walking the building. She wants to talk to me.
Yeah. Right. So I give a lot of my accolades to my coaches at Hamlin, and including her. She pushed me to my fullest potential, and that's what I kind of do to these girls. As you can see it, probably watching, I'm getting compliments of oh my gosh, we're they're moving the puck quicker, they're doing things faster, all of that stuff, and that was what was instilled in me. So getting the compliments of when I played and now doing it as a coach, it's kind of a full circle moment a little bit.
Has that, I assume, been fairly enjoyable as a player too? Because in some ways that, I think that how I described it was the shackles were taken off a little bit, and it was, go create, go attack. You don't have to be quite as robotic. So, I mean, how has that been team-wise?
Yeah, definitely the systems that we've been doing this year have been significantly more laid back and kind of let us all do what we do as players, which has been super fun. And then also Bre's just been super supportive of everybody playing their own game, and the personal feedback that we get on the bench from her, whether it's her yelling at us or saying that was a good shift, it's always helpful.
She doesn't yell.
Never yell, just loud.
Compared to McKenna, she does not yell.
Just loud support.
Yeah. That's
Loud
fair.
support.
That is fair. That's so fair.
Loud support. That's a good way to put it.
I love it.
I love that.
Like, yeah, it's positive criticism, I think it was sometimes it's been called. But yeah, loud support is also, that works too.
In my defense, I do it because I know that they are what they can be, which some can take it and some cannot. But I do tell them that I love them, and it's out of love. And again, that's why we're kind of successful right now.
It's a fun squad to watch. You know, I mean, the last few years it's been, like you said, a bit robotic, I think, at times, and that's no slight on Dano. That's just the style that he wanted to coach. But the team just, I mean, it's entertaining to watch, especially when you guys really pick up your play. It's fun to watch, and we talked about this a couple times. I mean, the games that I've done against Stevens Point, you guys really picked it up and dominated that game, and I've been telling people, it's like, they did not have any puck luck that night. They were the better team, and they lost that game 2-1 when they probably should have gotten a better fate than, they deserved a better fate than they got.
Right.
And then against Concordia, that was a tough game, which you guys found a way to get it done. But again, when you played well in that game, it was really entertaining to watch. So that's been kind of a nice thing to see, is just the amount of skating, passing, and chances that you guys are generating. It seems like it's almost twofold from where it's been in the last few years. So from my perspective, it's been fun to watch it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the team keep on growing, because clearly they're adapting to what Bre wants them to do. And so, getting a nice sweep as well, had a bit of a rough stretch there, but then you got that sweep against Concordia. That's a nice way to end the first half. So, yeah, that first year is always, you're not quite sure what it's going to look like. And that goes from the coaches all the way to the players. And so they're all kind of learning together, and it seems like you guys are learning pretty quickly. I guess that's the overall point I'm trying to make here.
What has been one of those things that was a real eye-opener for you? Because it's different going from being an assistant coach to a head coach. So give me a few of those things that were oh, wow, okay, I didn't realize this was that hard. Oh, I didn't realize I had to do that. Okay, now I have to take care of this. What are some of those things that you just never anticipated you were going to have to do?
The not hockey stuff.
Fair.
Everything on the back end,
Fair.
right, is stuff that I knew about but actually never learned it. It's funny. My day is just like crazy, and then they'll come in and be like, "Why are you so crabby?" And it's like, because I have this,
I have to.
this. I actually have to work.
Get buses and
Yeah.
I got credit card statements I have to reconcile. And
Hotels, meals,
hotels,
like
yeah,
all that
stuff. I gotta
stuff.
figure all that out,
Yeah. So
fundraising.
yeah, like equipment, like all of that stuff, like trying to keep on top of it. So definitely that whole part of it I didn't do the last 2 years. I was kind of more of the fun assistant and like did all of helping the girls out with little things, where now I'm doing X, Y, and Z plus being there for them. And I never had to do practice plans. Now I have to do practice plans. So it's just like little things like that where I guess I didn't do, but learning. That's why Nick is great. He's been helping me with all of that stuff. And yeah. That's kind of the
delegate
biggest.
some of that to your assistant coach too.
I know, I should.
There's a lot of the
Yeah, Emma.
a lot of the stuff that goes on, I think, with head coaches, especially at the D3 level and D2 for that matter as well, people don't really know.
They have no
They
idea.
have no idea how much goes into it. It's not just like, well, Bre takes them out on the ice and then she's, then
you're done for the day.
Then you're done for the day, and that's all she does. Nope. It's a whole lot of other stuff. You have to set up travel plans, reserve buses, do all that stuff. Receipts, meal plans. Have to hand out the money allocated. For meals. There's a ton that goes into it. And I'm not sure, like I said, everybody completely understands what D2 and D3 coaches have to go through, because they have to do all of that.
Right.
Plus coach the game, plus coach the team, plus do practice plans. And plus manage the players.
I think what most people are familiar with is Division I Power 5 stuff, and they all have a
staff that
director
does
of
that,
basketball operations that does that, and they they take care of hotels and travel and all that. So coaches literally coach, recruit.
Director of operations comes in and gives you your itinerary
Yes.
and what they've set up, and you're like,
Here's
okay.
here's when
nice,
you're leaving.
Thanks.
Yep.
Here's when you're
Exactly.
leaving. So it's
So-
a completely different ball game at this level.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest eye opener, I think, for all coaches, especially first timers, is they come in and go, "What do you mean I have to deal with this?"
Yeah. You come in and you see like a load of receipts just sitting on
A
coach's
pile of
desk, and they're
receipts
like,
and
Yep.
yeah, and they're going, "I'm missing one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm missing
Yep.
one. I'm going to get audited."
And they're
on
going
this,
through
I'm
them,
missing
and they're
one."
like,
Yep.
I had to do it with Allison the girl many times. I walked in her office after a road trip, and she's like,
Yep. Yep.
she's like
Yep.
looking, she's like, I can't find that receipt.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, just like little things like that, things that you never took into account until now. All of a sudden, now it's you, and now you do have to do that. It's like, all right, I had 20 receipts.
Yep.
I've only got 19. Where's the 20th?
Yep.
Like stuff like that.
It's a different stress. I'll tell you that. It's a different stress.
Yeah, because you have to fill out reports and paperwork. And
Yep.
all this extra stuff. It's
No,
just
the coaching is one of the smallest pieces.
yeah.
It is. I will
And
say.
in a lot of ways, probably the easiest piece.
Well, that's kind of what you learn if you spend time with coaches. It's like, if I could just coach my team, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I got to do all this other stuff too. But that's what you sign up for.
Yep.
That's part of the deal.
Yeah.
So, but that's because it cracks me up when the NCAA tournament happens, because a bunch of stuff extra then falls on the head coach whenever you go to the NCAA. So
Yep.
it's a whole,
Yep.
So like when the guys for the soccer team, they go to the Sweet 16, everybody's excited, everybody's having fun, except for Joe. And you go into his office, and he's sitting there like,
Reading through the tournament manual.
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
trying to figure out like,
page,
you know.
page.
Yep.
So it falls on the coaches. It adds a lot of extra weight falls on the shoulders of the head coach. And say tournaments are great and everything, but there's a lot of extra work that goes into doing it.
Right.
So it's those little ironic things that when you're behind the scenes and you see it, you begin to understand, because Joe, how's it going? I got 3 hours of sleep last night, man. Stuff.
Yeah.
I was here till like midnight trying to set up all this stuff. It's like, ugh. So I have a lot of sympathy for what the head coaches at the D2, because the same thing at D2. They're the exact same thing, pretty much. Because none of that stuff is done for them. They have to do it themselves. Still, I mean, they might have extra staff members, but they don't have directors of operations that are setting up absolutely everything for them. So, and I know that because I work with UMD as well.
Right.
So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours, especially in season. It's a ton of hours. I mean, how many hours per week are you logging now? Probably about 80.
I don't count. but
Yeah, probably.
Don't,
Around
because it's
there.
just going to depress
I know
you.
it's gonna. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I did that
yeah.
once.
Yeah.
Well, then you start doing the math in your head, and you're like, great, I'm making like $3 an hour.
Yeah, because I'm salaried, so now it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's a labor of love, is the bigger point, and it seems like you're handling quite well for a first-time coach. So,
Thank you. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see if it continues right down the road.
Only the first half. Only
Well,
the first
and
half.
that's a good segue, because so as we go to the second half, what's the next step that you want to take? What's the next step you want them to take? What do you want this second half to look like? Within reason.
That's a
Within
hard
reason.
question. We're kind of taking it day by day right now, game by game right now. I tell them every day, like, just get 1% better, whether that's in the classroom, in the gym, on the ice, in games, whatever the case is, especially my returners that are coming back. It's kind of, I love all of our upperclassmen, our seniors that are leaving. I'm really sad that a lot of them are leaving because I wish I had another year with them. But it's also trying to get, Veda and the rest of the juniors, sophomores, freshmen, to try to get them into the swing of how I'm going to roll next year as well. And kind of then adding the seniors layer on top of it of, all right, let's just get this done for this, your last year, last hurrah. And they're doing well. And I tell them too, like, this is, like, make this the last, like, fun moment. You won't play college hockey ever again.
Right.
So for the next half, I just, take it day by day, take it game by game. We don't have, as like we talked about, we don't have as many games the second half. J-term is, like, the best time of the season because you don't have school, so you can just focus on hockey. So just kind of doing what we can to keep being successful on the ice and hopefully winning a couple more games too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How do you use that break?
Well, as a team, it's so fun because it's all we have is hockey, and then other than that, it's just everybody hanging out with everybody. And like right now, we're planning all our like team bonding stuff, and so like that's been fun. And overall, I think that especially after like the Stevens Point game, I think is when we kind of decided this shift of let's make this as fun as possible. Our warm-ups have changed of being like spike ball and dancing and listening to music rather than just like
Loudly.
this ultra.
Listening to music very loudly.
Well, yeah.
We bring out the big speaker right now.
I know you do.
We just blast it, make ourselves
I will.
known.
I will say that I'm the one that told them to start doing that, like bring the speaker out. So My bad.
yeah.
Hey, we're performing with it.
Well, and
I'm just saying it's very loud.
that's a great segue too, because that's one of the things I've noticed. The energy is very high.
Yeah.
With this group, like this group really enjoys being around each other. You can tell. You know, they're having fun during warm-ups. You know, in the past it's been a little more subdued. I mean, they're still getting into the game, but this group has been like very loudly enthusiastic, and I like that. Like, it doesn't bother me at all that you guys are loud and having fun in the warm-ups, because I think that translates onto the ice. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. I don't know. But it seems like for you guys, it definitely translates onto the ice.
Yeah,
You know,
it's preparation, right? People might say like that stuff doesn't help, but it was funny. Like our first like couple games, all of them are so serious, like for 4 hours, right? Like you get to the rink and it's like just dead faces, and which is great. I'm not saying that that's bad, but it's like I think you guys are psyching yourselves out because you want to like come out and perform right away. Well, that's probably not how you should prepare technically. I was that way, and I've told a lot of them that like I was the type that had to like be crazy, play spike ball, like play soccer, like whatever it is before games, and then like soon as you go on ice for warm-ups, and then it's let's be serious, have a good warm-up, and then hopefully that will transition right away into the game. So I think some of them are now like figuring out like when you come to the rink, it's an enjoyable time, like you're playing a game. Listen to music, play spike ball, dance around, like all that stuff, and try not to psych yourself out.
well,
too much.
you should be serious, and you should also be having fun doing it though too. It should be like a combination of the two, right? Like it shouldn't be just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then you start dreading it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh my god, every game, it's like, oh my god, I'm under the microscope. No, you're playing a game. Enjoy it. It's a rare opportunity to be a college athlete. Take advantage of it and enjoy the time you have. Do we want to be serious? Yeah. Do we want to focus in? Yeah. But you know what? Have fun with your teammates. Enjoy being around them, because that's going to translate.
Right. Who's the best spike ball player?
I think Gabby and Raji, she's up there. She's really good.
She's competitive.
They get pretty dialed when they do it. I kind of stand back. Well, it'll start off with just a few of the people playing like a game, then we'll get it to the entire team. It's just like hitting it off of it. But yeah, no, they're all pretty. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
We had a spike ball tournament here, and like Kaylin and Cora, they ended up not being able to do it, but like they were gonna tear it up. It was like, yeah, no.
Is there like a team championship? Or do you have the belt or something?
You should.
Right now, the big thing on our team is pickleball. We have a group of girls who go and do it started off between, I think it was Hoops and I forget who it was, but then it was Anna and Trin, and they had this really competitive spike game. Like an entire team went there, like talking about it all week about whatever, and like people got mad. It was a thing at practice that day of like, So it's been fun, that's for sure.
And that's how it is in practice.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, we have really, really hard practices, but I think it's fun. We've been trying to have as much fun as possible. Like start off practice the joke and just are able to laugh it out first before we get to it. And at the end, right now, it's been a big thing on our team of like selling. Even when it's like mid-drill, we're doing like a warm-up drill. We'll snipe, and all of a sudden someone's like throwing a glove, shooting the duck, doing all that stuff. It's been hilarious. And now people are selling during games. And so some of those clips have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that Hoops is a really competitive pickleball player, because she plays ping pong.
Well, you see her playing ping pong.
Yeah, with Cam
upstairs.
Wickstrom of the women's softball team.
Yep.
Like every.
Yeah.
They play like every single day. In fact, they keep scoring. They put it on Fracker's whiteboard.
Yeah.
Like who's ahead in this series. So I'm not surprised that Hoops is into that kind of thing. That sounds like something Jenna would do.
Yeah.
Like totally, just as her personality. That's just sounds like something she could get into for sure.
Who tells the joke at the start of practice?
Well,
Coach?
It started off as just like whoever was going, like if anybody had a joke, and then I think Ashton made these little joke cards. Was it just
Ashton
for this month, or
it was just for the winter month?
Yeah, during the Caroling for Cans meal, we were all sitting there like writing these jokes on these things, and then she'll pull one every day and read it out. But yeah, they're never very good, but
it gets a chuckle out
Right.
like before we get to it, and
It can be anything from silly to
before they start hating me. So. That's
I
fine.
never hate you.
I'll bring Teddy back to tell a pregame joke sometime, because he's got some really.
He's a jokester.
He's got some really stupid kindergarten jokes.
Hey, that's fine. We have a lot of dad jokes. It's fine.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
His go-to right now is why did the chicken cross the playground? to get to the other slide.
Oh.
That's his go-to.
That's his
That's a
go-to
good
right now.
one.
That's his go-to. So
That's a good
he
one.
might use that, but yeah,
That's fine.
that's his go-to.
Nice and cheesy. I like it.
Yes, very
That's
cheesy.
fine. Cheesy's great.
You made reference to the senior class, and obviously it's a pretty good-sized class, which means as a first-year head coach, you also, on top of your administrative duties,
Yeah.
have plenty of recruiting to do.
Yes,
So
yes.
how has the recruiting process been?
Tricky.
How so?
You know, it's that age where you're kind of relying on 17, 18-year-olds to make a decision. Which
Kind of
is
hard to hitch your wagon to
Yeah,
those kids.
it sure is.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone wants that dream to play D1 hockey, right? And which is great, and I love that. But in reality, not every single hockey player can play D1 hockey. And it's just kind of pulling kids that have, you know, a couple skills here and there, and then hopefully I can help with the other couple things that they're missing. It's difficult, but I think knowing where I'm coming from and how I can change this program into hopefully, you know, going into playoffs, going into NCAA tournaments, things like that. Hopefully we'll get kids in a fun state of mind, I guess, and it helps not saying how good I was or anything, but it helps knowing that I played D3 hockey and where my team went, what I did as a D3 hockey player, and showing kids that it's just the same. It's
Right.
just as fun. It's not as serious as a D1, you know, program where you're kind of, it's more of a business on that side of things, where here you're getting an all around, you're getting the schooling part, the hockey part, the friend part, and it's just, and this place is great. I don't know why no one would want to not come here, right? Like, you got Duluth and then here, so it's difficult, but we're getting it done. And that's another part of it where it's just you got to take it day by day. And you know, Christmas break is a big push right now with
Right.
you know, tournaments and all that stuff. So I will say the recruiting never stops.
That's the old saying.
Yeah,
Recruiting never stops.
It never does.
Do you put spike ball on the questionnaire?
I should.
You know,
I should.
if they don't check that box, you're
Sorry.
out. You're
Yeah,
out.
you're out.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
can't play for us because we're spike ball. That's
Yeah,
part of our warm up. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, recruiting does never stop, and I'm glad that John, you asked that question because it's tough. I mean, remember when TJ came in for baseball? He had recruits on campus basically every day for like 6 weeks.
Yeah,
It was
months.
crazy the amount of recruiting that he had to do, and you know that can be it can take up a lot of your time, especially if you're a new coach coming in. And I mean, I don't know how many commits you have, and I'm not going to ask it right now, but that's I think kind of the wild card in the situation when you come as a new coach because you're dealing with so much stuff. You're dealing with new duties, what the school expects you to do, how much paperwork you have to do all that administrative stuff. Then you have to get to know your players, and then you have to also do the life stuff, which is move and get your stuff from wherever it is that you moved from, and then you throw in recruiting, which in and of itself sometimes feels like a full-time job because you're on the road, you're watching players play. I mean, it's a ton, so that's kind of interesting to hear your perspective on the recruiting, especially in that first year. I mean, it probably gets easier as you go on because you begin to figure out a system of how you're going to do it. But that first year, you're kind of testing the waters a little bit just to see.
Yeah. Well, and it's difficult when I have 11 that
Right.
are leaving and not
Yeah.
like 5 where
Right,
I can
yeah,
pick
exactly.
and choose. It's 11s that, seniors, fifth years that are leaving. So definitely run for my money in the first year, but it's good.
But it's got to be kind of exciting too, because it really gives you an opportunity to
Yeah.
put a stamp on this right away. Where you don't just have 2 seniors and maybe be in a situation where you have to cut returning players. You get to make your mark right now.
Yeah, it's a pro and a con, right? Definitely that is a pro, like trying to get kids and move this program forward and how I want it to be. And then obviously the con part of it is having to find so many to
Right.
be able to turn it around as well. And yeah, the first couple months of recruiting were brutal for me. Like I did the same thing. Like I had probably couple 2-a-days. I had 3-4 in a row. I had to try to get some of these guys to help me out. Like Emma to help me. It's like it's a long day of doing that, and then when you add 2 on top of it in one day, and then you're still relying on them to try to come here, it's like difficult.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think every coach remembers their first recruiting class too.
Yeah.
Fondly,
Yeah.
like you go back and you say, "Oh, that was my first class." That that 6-player class or whatever it was that I ended up getting. That was, and that's because I think every coach probably remembers like how much of a testing the waters it was, and that first class really put their faith in me.
Right.
Even though I was a new coach. So that's always going to be that first class is always going to be special. So I'll be interested to see what it looks like when it comes in next year.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, because I still talk to Dave Buchanan every now and then, who was the men's basketball coach here, going on 20 years ago.
Yeah.
His first class, Jake Smith,
Yeah.
Dan Cooley, Greg Rader,
Shane Manor. Yeah. That was a heck of a class.
That was a heck of a class to come in as his
Considering
as
where all
the
those
first
guys
one.
ended up.
But
Yeah.
that group is still unbelievably special to Dave Buchanan.
Right,
And
yeah.
so every now and then I'll be digging through the photo archive. I'll find something, I'll send it to him, and the response comes back, and he starts talking about all these guys.
Yeah, I remember talking to him, and
Yeah.
like my first meeting with him and everything. And,
Right.
Well, especially when one of your first recruits becomes the all-time leading scorer in school history.
Right.
But I mean, when you put a stamp on it like that, it's the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, you could talk to any former coach I think that's been here, or any of the current coaches, and they'll talk about their first class with pretty fond memories. I mean, you talk to Joe or Allison, they'll tell you the same thing. Greg, Emily, so that's how it works.
Right.
TJ, and Fracker, she'll talk about her first class. So, but it is sort of a way to kind of like make your imprint on a program, is to say, this is my first signing class. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be good. I know I have a few that I coached previously, like at Gentry, and a couple girls that did Skate to Excellence when I was there, which is a summer program. So getting to coach some of them again, I'm really excited about that too.
It's cool.
You talked about Elmira earlier. Explain the domes.
I loved them. I loved them. Not everybody's favorite place to play, but I loved it.
One of the most unique facilities I've ever been in.
It's awesome.
This is their home rink, I assume?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a big old dome. We used to call it the Epcot Center, like at Disney World.
That's
'cause
what it looks
just
like.
looked
Looks
a
like the
dome.
Epcot Center.
That's
now.
what it
Yes.
looks like.
Yes. And it's just dark
it's
in there.
dark in there.
And, but it's a cool history place. There's 3 domes in one. Got a basketball, bunch of tennis courts, and then the rink in the other one. So
So all the facilities have a dome on them. Is that what that is then? Like they all have? Are they all connected? Let me ask
Yes.
that. Like
They're
it's all
in
in one
the-
place. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like out of town.
It's like 20 minutes from campus.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
technically
so-
is
yeah,
it
yeah.
technically Elmira's? Like does the
Yes.
school own it then?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
it's an interesting place.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I've
though.
never been in any place like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was fun to go in there and win,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the heels of what happened here the year before.
Oh God.
So,
We're not going to touch on that, are we?
No, I heard that story.
yeah, no, Kenny Olson
We're
did
good.
enough of that a few years back. I don't want to
Okay,
get into
yeah.
that whole thing again, but it's a really unique place and really difficult place to play.
Yeah, it is.
There's a definite home ice advantage there.
100%. And I'm glad I never had to play there. But it was a cool starting point for me in college hockey. The staff there was also great. The girls were awesome. I still talk to a lot of them today. I went with Jake, who was my assistant coach at Hamlin. So that kind of helped the transition of going out there, being in a totally different place, never been out there before. And then, he left and then had to bring in a new coach. So I totally get where they're coming from
Right.
when a new coach comes in. But I will say, it was the best 2 years experience. I'm so dorky about seeing other people's rinks. So seeing all the rinks
You
out
and me
east.
both.
Yeah,
I
so,
love that.
It was really cool to see some different places. And I loved ours. So I'm sorry that you didn't like it.
I didn't say I didn't like it. It was really unique.
Yeah.
It was
Unique is
really-
not, see, that's a nice neutral
That's-
word.
yeah,
it was
is.
a
It
really
is.
unique
Like,
place. I never said I didn't like it. It was fun to go in there and win twice. It wasn't fun how
Well, now I have to look it up,
how
so
we were
thanks.
treated.
Yeah.
But it was it's a cool place.
Yeah.
It was a really cool place.
Yeah.
I mean,
different.
I feel the same way with basketball.
So dark though.
It's very
Because it's got flood lamps in the corners.
Yeah.
It is so dark.
Yeah.
Is the ceiling tall then? Like is it?
It's a dome.
It's a dome. It's huge.
Oh, that
Think
so it's
the Coliseum.
Okay.
at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
It's high and dark like that, except it doesn't have suspended lighting. It has flood lamps in the corners.
The Coliseum is a strange building.
It is.
I used to walk in there for games, and I'd be like,
How in the world is that? Is that roof
well,
up
I
there?
keep waiting for like the cows to come running out. And,
I
like,
keep
run
waiting
around.
for the concrete to start falling.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like for them to stay fair. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so like, because when I was in school, because I went to St. Olaf, St. Thomas played all their home games there, and so did Hamlin. But St. Thomas was the game I went to, and the rink was really kind of, I don't want to say it was misplaced, but it was like in the middle of this huge
Yeah,
area.
and it had
there's a big space.
there's a
Yeah.
in
big
between.
walkway.
And then you got to sit where the folks are.
Even further back.
Yeah. And there's like dirt. around. So that's where I'm like, okay, are the cows and the pigs going to come running through here anytime now? And this was like right in the middle of the game. We're watching we're watching St. Thomas, play hockey, and then here come they're going to make a lap and go out the back or what.
Oh my gosh.
It's very strange. And the building was so large that the sound got swallowed up. Like it was one of those buildings where you could hear absolutely everything that happened on the ice.
Everything.
Because the building was so big, it just swallowed up any noise. It's kind of like going to Oshkosh for basketball. The biggest D3 building I've ever seen for basketball. They seat like 10,000 people in that place.
Yeah.
And the court is very much the same thing. The court is right in the middle of this huge, like basically field house. And you're sitting way back from where the actual action is happening. It's a very strange look. And it's the same thing. Like noise gets just swallowed up in that place too. So I mean, I don't know. Did you often play at the Coliseum? Did you ever? Okay, yeah.
I actually like playing there.
Well, from what I was told, the ice was pretty good.
It was.
Yeah,
It was. For how warm that building was, a great ice.
yeah. And I
Too
mean,
young.
Yeah.
Too young to play there.
yeah. Well, because you played at. Did you ever play at Tria?
I did.
Okay, how was that?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
It was
Tria looks
great.
like it's a cool building.
It was. It was
Yeah.
great.
Did you have to play at Oscar Johnson before that?
I did my freshman year.
Not
and
so
then,
great.
No, it was not. That was another recruiting piece of it. Like she was like, "Hey, we're getting a new rink. Like, don't." Yeah, we were getting dressed in trailers.
I know.
It was crazy in the back. Yeah,
It was the same thing when they
it
played
was
at Drake.
crazy. Yeah.
Hey, Drake was. I went to St. Paul Academy.
I know.
all about
It
Drake
was the
Arena.
same thing at Drake.
It's just what a.
They had
oh.
a trailer off in the
Yeah.
corner of the building. That was their locker
That's because it's
room.
tiny.
Yeah.
The bathrooms barely.
So was
fit in that
Oscar
building.
Johnson.
So was
And insanely
there was like
cold.
2 bleachers in
Yeah.
Oscar Johnson, and yeah, it was freezing. Had to walk outside to go into our trailers. A lot of girls getting injured because like going out, it was like a slide almost. Like so, it was when it was super cold out. You basically slid down.
I love that
and-
Veda's like getting like a tutorial.
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, right.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I
going
don't-
from Oscar Johnson to Tria was the biggest step ever.
Yeah, because Tria looks like a cool building. Like I've never been inside of it, but just the way it's laid out and that big window on the
Yeah.
end, I guess.
Yep.
That's cool. That's very cool. Especially the fact that the wild practice there.
It's
so
a
that
horrible
helps, too.
place to try to get a connection for a broadcast, though.
Is that really?
All those skyscrapers
Oh,
that surround
right.
it. It's hard to get a signal.
Yeah. But still,
Oscar Johnson, no problem.
Yeah, I'm sure not.
yeah, there's nothing there.
There's just nowhere to broadcast from there, so you're you're standing at the top
Yeah.
of a stairway.
Yeah, right.
right. Yeah.
That was
Well, I
where
mean-
I made the table out of the recycling bin and the sheetrock.
Good.
Beautiful stuff.
2 years later, it was still there.
Yeah. God, that's cool. So, Veda, do you have any strange buildings you've ever played in?
I don't think so. I like
Really?
like
Give me one.
I-
You gotta have one.
one of my hometown rinks, we called it Chili Lily. It was absolutely freezing. Do you know where I'm
No.
talking about? No, it's in Stillwater. We had to go back and forth with the boys team with every other week where we played, and it was just like the most like freezing. Like we'd put toe warmers in our skates every single practice. Like we had a team fund. It was crazy, but
Finetti.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I'm not going to pick on Stout too much here for this. But
Let's not pick on Stout at all.
okay.
Let's just say it's
But
cold.
It's a cold building. We'll just say that.
Yes.
We'll just say that. But I mean, it's interesting because there's like a full range of buildings that you see. And hockey arenas seem to be really unique for whatever reason. I love Westman. Westman's about as good as it gets.
It is.
You got Mars Lakeview, which is okay. That's not my favorite building, but it's not a horrible building either.
Right.
I've seen way worse. But yeah, all these stories about the upgrades, like Bre having to play in a building basically where she's walking around outside in between periods because she couldn't get, stuff like that. It just kind of makes it fun. John, you've played in a whole bunch of crazy buildings. I know that.
Yep.
Yep.
Is he? And yeah, he could fill your ear for a full hour about different.
It's not even the places I played. Is the broadcast stuff has been much more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, Bethel, when they were at Columbia and having to climb the fire escape to get to the press box. Because there was no stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's safe.
Well, even like,
and it was outside the building, so you had to leave the building, go around the corner, and climb the fire escape to get into the press box.
Right. Well, I've even so you and I, we've actually done games at the deck. And for those of you who don't know, the deck was UMD's home rink forever.
Yep.
Until now they're in Amsoil Arena. The deck, to get up to the press box of the deck is a real experience. It's like 5 million stairs.
You need a Sherpa.
Yeah, exactly. There's no elevator. You're literally going up every stair in the building. Like you go from the bottom to the top, and the press box hangs over the ice. So you're literally looking down on the ice when you're calling the game. Like I had to get used to the vantage point because I felt like I was going to fall out of the press box the first time I was up there because I was like, dude, this is not safe. Like,
right.
If something goes, we're going to fall on the players and kill them. That was the year that the ice actually melted over at Westman, and we had to.
I remember it well.
Yeah, so these are some of the fun stories about Yellowjacket hockey that you might not know. We had a compressor go down over at Westman Arena, and all the ice melted over break, I think it was.
It was in January, yeah.
So we ended up actually, we played one of the first.
They came in on a Monday morning, and they had a pool.
And we played some of the first games over at Amsoil Arena ever, like our men did, because there was no for them to play. So we played games with the deck that year. We played games over at Amsoil when it opened. It was that was a crazy year.
It was.
That was nuts. I mean, I remember Steve Kirk coming over and saying, so we have a problem. All the ice melted. I'm like, what do you mean the ice melted? He's like, well, the ice melted. There's no more ice in Westman Arena. There's just a bunch of paint.
Nice.
Yeah. And it happened overnight. He came in and he was like, walked out. So it could be worse.
It could.
But all in all, I don't want to get too far off track here, but
we already have.
Yeah. This is what happens on these podcasts.
Yep.
By the way.
That's fine.
So, John, anything else to add?
No, actually, I was just looking at the clock here, so don't want to keep them too long. But this is probably a good place to end.
Yeah. So welcome to this is what our podcasts are like.
What it's like. So
yeah,
Final
that's why we
thoughts?
have them though. That's what the roundtables are for. It's
Right.
just kind of get to know you more than just being a hockey coach and a hockey player. Is get to know how things are going, and it sounds like things are going pretty darn well so far. So, all signs are moving forward. So, congratulations on the success so
Thank
far,
you.
and hopefully more to come.
Thank you very much.
that'll do it for this edition of Eye of the Swarm. We want to thank head coach Bre Simon and Veda Roeske from the women's hockey team for coming by. What? All of a sudden they're laughing back here. It's like, wait a second here. In the middle of my outro, I hear people laughing. What?
Good job, John.
Thanks, I guess. Now I'm all paranoid. Did I say something wrong? For Bre and Veda, for the Big Sound Matt Johnson, I am John Garver, and thank you for watching Eye of the Swarm.